All right, everybody, welcome back to Clicks and Bricks. My name is...
This is Brian.
This is episode 26.
Clicks and Bricks. But before we get started, if you'd like to join my text community, and it's growing, it's just text hello to 314-370-2871, and you'll join my text line community. I'll never try to sell you anything there, just tips, tricks. I might send some specials and things like that, but it's definitely not, no sales ever on that deal. So just motivational and tips and tricks and stuff like that, having a good time.
There you go. And then my text line is 314-216-2040. The things to text me will be things that, like, maybe you have questions about a prior podcast, maybe you have a question in business that you need some help in, maybe you need some advice or something. I have your back there. Or maybe you have a topic you want to tackle. Let me know. And we'll bring that into the next pod, or we'll put it in the circle, and I'll let Nick know. He would probably want to be known about that because he is the producer. All right. So, today's episode...
So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly of business personnel.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be an interesting one here. Absolutely going to be considering what kind of world we're in now.
So HR kind of stuff.
Right. It's changed quite a bit since the pandemic.
Yes, drastically.
Absolutely. But before we dive into this, we first absolutely have to have our Between the Cubicles talk.
What's today's Between the Cubes?
It's Star Wars Day.
Star Wars.
Yes.
Oh, May the 4th. So this episode will go live. We're live today on May the 4th.
Right.
We'll be releasing this video on Friday,
Correct.
the 10th, I think.
No,
No,
the 4th.
the 7th.
Yeah, the 7th.
The 7th. So, but today's May the 4th. I thought today's Between the Cubicles would be Nick's new haircut.
Like, we can definitely talk about
I
his
guess
haircut.
it's May the 4th.
I mean, he was pretty pumped up about this, man. You know he's a fan. Like,
He's a super fan.
he woke up at like somebody at 7 o'clock in the morning, pumped up for no reason.
So what's your fondest Star Wars memory?
I think my fondest memory is when I found out that Luke Skywalker used to be bad.
That Luke Skywalker used to be bad.
Yeah, like he had like a moment where he really wasn't like the golden child. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
I was like, wow, I'm like, whoa, I can't believe
So the
it.
character development behind Luke Skywalker,
Yes.
we see him as a goody two shoes and all
Exactly.
that stuff.
That's what
and
I
to
know
find
about.
out that he wasn't always
so perfect.
always so perfect. Okay.
It goes back to my whole saying, like, you know, Michael Jordan missed shots, right? So anytime when people say I'm supposed to be perfect, Michael Jordan didn't make all his shots. Give me a break.
So Chewie's my favorite character.
That's your favorite character?
Yeah, of all the Star Wars. And so Star Wars came out when I was young. The first, or episode 4, 5, and 6, right?
Yeah.
Came out when I was young. I was born in 75, so I literally, in my bedroom growing up, my desk, I had this little corner desk that my grandfather made for me, and it was covered in Star Wars memorabilia. And I had one wall in my bedroom that was all Star Wars growing up.
That's awesome.
So my bedroom was, when I finally got my own bedroom, I was probably 10 when I stopped sharing a bedroom. And I got Star Wars wallpaper, and all the walls were bright orange.
Nice.
So
You were pretty in, man.
Oh yeah, it was all. Yeah, my mom hooked it up then.
That's cool.
So,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What is your fondest moment of Star Wars?
I think my bedroom. When I got my first bedroom to myself. Right before that, it
Oh, it was a
was.
big deal anyway. Then.
That was a huge deal, and it was decked out in Star Wars.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, not necessarily going to the movies and seeing it. I guess as a kid, when 13, 14, we finally had like cable television. So
Right.
they would do like the all-day Saturday runs, and all three of them back and forth. So I kind of remember being on the TV quite a bit. So that it's really not that stuff at all. It's the characters that I had, the collectibles that I had growing up, and then my bedroom, when I was a kid.
So it wasn't the movie; it was everything about the movie.
It was all really the merch that came out. I enjoyed the movies by quite a bit, but
Why did you like Chewbacca? What is it about Chewbacca?
I think I relate to Chewbacca. we have similar.
As in no one understands when you say words?
I'm frequently misunderstood, right? I'm a big hairy fella. I like to growl. I'm cuddly most of the time, but I do like to fight. So
I love it. That's awesome.
I think I relate to, in the Star Wars world, Chewbacca is my character that I relate to the most.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My favorite character, I would have to go with Han Solo, man.
Okay.
Because Han Solo was like the cool uncle to me.
Okay.
Because I was young, man, in that time frame. He was like the bee's knees. The girls loved him. He was awesome. He always did like the super badass stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so cool. Like, I want to be like him when I grow up, man.
I mean, he had the Millennium Falcon, so that's.
And he had a dope ride. He was a good. Everything I wanted, man.
Yep.
Everything.
So,
Awesome. So, Star Wars Day.
If you guys want to text us your favorite Star Wars character or maybe your fondest memory, go for it, right? Let's go ahead and dive in today about the good, the bad, and the ugly of business personnel. This is going to get fast.
I have to say, luckily for me, I've had way more good than bad with personnel.
Good.
But I have had some
Bad and ugly.
significant hiccups when it comes to personnel over the years.
Do you want to talk about one?
No, I don't.
No, not at all.
No, I don't want to talk about the bad stuff. I mean, I'll talk about the bad. I'll answer any direct question, but I don't want to go into because it's just bad blood, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
You know, it's. I think when you talk about problems with specific people, anytime, you know,
I like to say most people are generally trying to be good people,
Right.
and you just kind of caught them at bad moments in their life or bad times in their life, or whatever.
Time is everything, man.
Yeah, I don't think that the people. I mean, you know, we've had employees steal from us. That's just a bad case scenario, right? That's not a timing issue, or you know. But, you know. But so just keep moving on. I don't want to jump into specifics.
All right, we won't go too deep into that.
Individual
We won't go
people.
that. All right. Well, all right. Let's dive back into our questions then. All right. Brett asked, "I recently started my own business, and it has been doing pretty well so far, to the point where I need to hire help. What's your mantra for hiring employees, and any advice can you give?"
Okay, so I'll start, and I've recently adopted Gary Vee's advice on hiring as a guess and firing as a decision, right? And I lean on that a little bit when we're hiring. Still, I do believe that the interview process is important. Getting to know somebody is important. Asking questions. If you're hiring for a technical position, you have to make sure that you're asking the right questions to make sure that they're technically capable to do that job, right? If you're hiring a paralegal, you know you need to make sure that they understand what you're doing. If you're hiring a technical person,
Right.
you understand what they're doing before you hire them, or that they're trainable, or that they can follow direction, right? So that's my biggest mantra: hiring is a guess and firing is a decision. Generally, you know within a week or two if it's going to work out or not, right? And then it's depending on if you know how much do you want to invest in the individual person to see if we can make it work or not work. So that's my biggest mantra today on hiring.
That's pretty solid, man.
It helps a bunch, right? Now, today in COVID, I don't know a single business owner, manager, hiring person across the board. The story that I hear across the board right now is that you just can't find people. It's really, really hard. So
Yes.
we're actually, Hosterian's looking for a new knock technician right now. And before we would put an ad in Indeed, we'd hit up our colleges, we would put an ad on Facebook, and within a day we'd have a couple hundred applicants, right? So then it was a matter of weeding through the no's and then getting set up for interviews for the rest. Today, we're getting where we would have gotten 150, we're getting like 15 applicants.
Oh man.
Right, so it's way more challenging.
Absolutely.
So for that, we really just go back to like a sales approach, and you create more top of the funnel activity, right? So you have now Indeed, we have job posts on Facebook. We're posting inside the buy sell groups inside Facebook.
There you go.
We're hitting up where we used to just hit the tech colleges in town. We're hitting up all the universities, right? And all the trade schools in town. So we are just doing more top of the funnel activity to find employees than we used to have to do because
You have to put more in the funnel.
we have to put more in the funnel. So, and to relate that back to sales would be more prospecting avenues, right?
Right.
Pre-COVID, we didn't need those. Post-COVID, we need more top of the funnel stuff for hiring employees.
Absolutely.
So,
I definitely like that that approach to hiring as a guest, because it absolutely is, and then the firing as a decision, because I mean there's definitely some things there that let you know.
well, I mean, during the interview process, they're coming at their best foot forward, theoretically, right? I mean,
I was gonna say I'm really a POS.
well, literally
I'm
today.
hired.
So I'm not doing the interview for the knock position. Our knock manager Chris is doing those interviews, and but we do recaps and stuff throughout the week. And he said, literally told me today he interviewed somebody, and the guy said, "Yeah, I really don't want to work at all. I'm only doing that. I'm only looking for a job because my stepdad said he's going to kick me out if I don't get a job."
Oh my God!
Like literally, just straight up said that in the interview.
I mean, you gotta appreciate his honesty.
I do appreciate his honesty because we're not hiring him. Like, I'm not going to hire someone that doesn't want to work, right? And I say this all the time: if you don't want to work here, don't. And I say that for anywhere. If you don't want to, wherever you're at in life, if you don't like working there, I've got a kid that works for me at the boxing gym, and he said something about he wished he didn't have his other job because he hated it, and he works at like a bounce house company, right?
Oh, you know all about that.
And I'm like, then don't do it. He's like, well, I need money. I'm like, well, yeah, but you can do something else. Like he loves sneakers, right? You can buy and sell sneakers.
Man, it's hard for people to like adopt change. 'Cause most people see change as like a bad thing. So like switching jobs, going back and forth, going on the whole job interview process, like it just gives people anxiety. They don't want to do it.
No, I don't either. I hate interviewing for jobs.
I mean, I get it. I absolutely get it. And at the same time, I care more about my personal quality of life and my happiness.
Yeah.
Then like I don't want to be in a place where I'm not wanted, a place I'm not valued, a place where I feel like it's hell on earth.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, and I also, you know, to your point you said earlier about how challenging it is, I have a prospect right now that I work, you know, working through our process, and she had to stop our process because she's like, well, all of our people stopped working, nobody wants to work.
Right.
I'm like, somebody wants to work. She's like, no, like for unemployment, all you have to do is just say you applied. So they have people applying, saying they're going to do an interview,
eating time,
and just bail.
Right. Yep. So I don't want to go too far into our process because I think other questions will tie them out. So
I did have a follow-up question to this one though. Is that I want to give Brett some tactics to how you can kind of get into the nitty-gritty of getting people to answer certain questions and certain type of mindsets, right? Like, what was that question that you one of the questions you had to tell me a story?
Oh, tell me a story about yourself. So I also tried to
tactics like that.
Right. So we were trying to hire a writer, right? And I wanted to say, hey, give me a writing sample, without saying, hey, give me a writing sample. So I said, hey, will you in one paragraph tell me a story that would help me get to know you, right?
Yeah.
And that helped a lot, like tremendously. But that was for, that was a little bit down the process. That was second interview kind of question, right?
Well, I thought that was first interview. I thought it was a first interview because if they didn't even give you a story, you're like, well, you don't make it to the second round.
Yeah.
Because you didn't follow directions.
So that would be a second interview question for today, right?
Oh, okay.
So to not waste the time, that for a writer that would be a great question, I think. So, but for not wasting time, what we're doing right now is we're booking a lot of meetings not even back to back. We're triple and quadruple booking meetings for a specific time, and we're calling them getting to know you 5-minute Zoom calls, right? Just so that, because people aren't showing, like, I think for the unemployment, I'm not sure, I don't know, but I think that all you have to do is say, hey, I went to an interview and I applied, and here's my calendar that shows that I applied and had an interview. I didn't get the job. So we're having a significant amount of people not even show up for Zoom interviews.
That's crazy.
Like, this is a Zoom interview, a 5-minute Zoom interview. So we started with 30-minute interviews, and we dropped it down to, we're going to do a 15-minute quick call. Now we've got a 5-minute. Are you going to show up to a meeting call? Right? Like, that's the first thing that we're doing. Will you show up to a meeting? And I'm going to give you some kind of direction in that first meeting that you should follow so that when you come to the next meeting. Right?
There you go.
And then I've done a few things there. One, I know that they're going to show up to a meeting. I know that they can follow directions if they did whatever task that we had them do. And there's a bunch of other tactics you can do to try to get quality candidates. But
well, I don't want
right now I think it's a volume game, right? Get as many candidates as you can, talk to as many people as you can.
Right, and I don't want to dive deep into like Hosterian's process. I want to just give Brett a couple examples on like some creative ways you can get people to figure out how if they're going to come, if they're going to follow direction, if they're going to open up and be honest. Right, so like for a writer, if that question is super bland, you're like, that may not be the person I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah, and then
you got to paint a picture. If you can't paint that picture, you're probably not the person I'm looking for.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, I think you're going to hire some people that you're not looking for, just because you need staff, right? So, I think we're going to see increases in pay across the board just naturally, because you're going to have to
pay people more to actually get them to come in.
To get them to come in. Benefit packages are going to be different, unique, right? We have different kinds of shifts, right? We have a 3-day-a-week shift, we got a 4-day-a-week shift, that kind of stuff. So I think you'll see creative ways of getting people to work. The worst case scenario that I think we could go into is that, and we're considering it here because we're having such a hard time finding staff, is that you're going to see a lot more part-time work.
Interesting.
Right? And then, and people don't value part-time work as much, right? The employer doesn't value as much either. So, and you don't get stuff like benefits. You don't get insurance benefits as frequently with part-time work and stuff like that. So I think employers are going to start saying, hey, you know, in an effort to appease everybody, why don't you come work here part-time?
Oh,
right?
Man.
So I think we're starting to see the end of the 40-hour work week.
Oh, that's crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
Like our world is literally changing like every single day.
Yeah, and it's I've never had a 40-hour work week, right? I've always had an 80 to 100-hour work week. So people that want to work only, I really struggle with what the hell people do when they're not working. Like I have no idea.
Oh my gosh, dude! I have so much stuff to do.
Like if I'm not working, I'm at a bar, I guess. I don't know what to do. Like I can only play Fortnite for about an hour before I'm like, this sucks, and I have to leave and go do something else.
Well, most people have hobbies.
I do
Your
too,
hobby
dude.
is work.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know what those hobbies are. Like you can, like, so if tennis is your hobby, how many hours a day are you gonna play at tennis? 2, 3 at the most.
So for me, if sports was my job. Right?
Okay.
So I would, oh my God, I would train so much. Because I love training, man.
I do too,
I gotta
but when
make
I
myself
have a
fit
fight
those
coming up, I train 4 hours a day max.
I would train all day. I would rest, take a nap, shower, and go right back to training.
Okay.
Because, like, I mean, to be a master at
Still,
anything.
that's only 8 hours a day.
Right. And then the other part of my day I'd spend with my family. And then I'd have some time frame in there where I can have some downtime to do the things I just really love to do and just like mindless kind of stuff, like ride my motorcycle, like
Even though lifting weights I do for a reason. I like lifting weights.
playing video games, maybe reading. I love reading, meditating, getting better at those
I do all
things.
that stuff and still work 100 hours a week. So I don't
man.
understand. Like I just don't understand why it takes that much time. But
I guess you're just a freak of nature.
I don't get it. I would go crazy without an 80-hour week schedule.
Oh man,
It would drive me insane. I'd be so bored.
I don't think I work 80 hours, but I work quite a few. With all of everything,
Yeah, you're
altogether.
probably.
I mean, I work about 7
you're
days.
60, 50 to 60.
Yeah, about there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't understand 40. I do understand like 50 or 60.
I've never worked 40 hours a week. Like even elementary school, I would leave elementary school and I go to my nighttime job, right? I mean, since I was 11 years old.
Yeah, when I had anytime I had a full-time job for the last 6 years, I've always had some other side hustle I've been working on.
Yeah.
So it may have been 40 hours at that one job,
Right.
but not just 40 hours and done.
Yeah.
So
So
that I agree with you. I'm right there with you. So Brett, hopefully that answered your question. You gotta get creative, right? Because the time frame that we're living in now, it's just hard to find people that really want to work. So it's not to say that's impossible. That means there's an opportunity for you just to flex your creativity muscles and just have some fun with it. Don't let it get you down.
Today, if you're a one-man shop, you might want to consider giving up some equity in your company for a good partner.
There you go.
If you're gonna double your staffing from 1 to 2, right? That's a good time to think about. And if I really want to because hiring is exhausting, training is exhausting, getting somebody up to speed with everything your company's about and what you're doing, getting them in the right culture, all those things are exhausting. So,
Yes.
1 to 10% of your company, vested over 3 to 5 years, whatever kind of plan you work out. A lot of them are 4%. They get 1% of the company per year if they hit these specific goals. Is a great way to do it. Then you have somebody that's in the game and they have some skin in the game.
Yes.
And they really want to push it forward. So that's a concept you might want to consider to get better quality
absolutely.
staff under your belt.
That's a great idea. 'Cause, I mean, if they have invested interest,
Yes.
that would definitely make someone want to actually keep the interview, for one.
Right, if they know they've got it outside, right? So
Right, yeah.
I take opportunity, I think, is the most valuable thing on our planet.
Absolutely.
Right? So I would much rather have an opportunity to make $1 million than a $100,000 a year job.
Facts.
Right? So I would rather take less money today for a bigger upside later.
Yes. Well, then also it would also determine on what kind of person that Brett wants to hire.
Correct.
Right? Like he could be looking for a person that does admin stuff. So a person that like if you're hiring an admin job, you don't really want them to have a lot of upside because then you still got to hire that admin job again.
Right.
Right. So you want them to be like, I just want something not a lot of responsibility. I just handle these things and I'm done.
Right.
Right. So take that.
And those are good for VAs. Right.
Absolutely.
Virtual assistants, admin jobs for VAs,
and those are all day. There's a bunch of those.
You can find those $5 to $15 an hour employees that are not on site. That $3 to $5 you can get somebody that speaks pretty broken English, but that follow directions very well.
Right. So if it's all like online stuff they're doing, they're not really talking to people.
Right.
They can knock that out of the
If
park.
you're going to do that, I highly recommend getting really good at making demo videos.
Yes.
Right. Because you're going to be
Yes.
making demo videos. Okay, this is how you do this process, and then they can watch your screen click around.
Good call.
They don't go outside the box very much. So if you have a bunch of inside the box work and you have a very standard way of doing it, VAs are fantastic. The low end VAs. Higher end VAs can do all kinds of stuff, right? But then you're talking about
That's a whole other world.
Yeah, you're talking about outsourcing the kind of labor that you would outsource in the States anyway. $20 to $50 an hour of labor, and you can find pretty good labor in the States for $20 an hour.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. So, Brett, you have a few different options there, right? So,
or at least in St. Louis, probably not LA or the coasts.
well, but still, if it's it's a VA, you can just go. You can look for someone in St.
Yes.
Louis, right?
Yeah.
Look for someone in any of those places where like the job market is scarce, or spots where the cost of living is low, so
Right.
you don't have to pay as
And
much.
then on top of that, I would also start looking for new. The industry trend is a lot of these services say a flat monthly rate for these services, right? So, like Hosterian, we manage your WordPress site for a flat monthly rate. We use Floxy for video editing, right? They edit unlimited videos for a flat monthly rate. Design Pickle is a flat monthly rate, and they do all kinds of different design work. So there's a bunch of different also services that you could hire that maybe you don't need a full-time employee. Maybe you could just
That's true.
outsource. You're like, man, I really need somebody to keep my website up to date, and keep fresh images. Yeah, there's two companies right there that you could just outsource that to.
Maybe a vendor. Maybe a vendor's the way to go.
Maybe, right?
Right. So, or maybe it's something you can automate.
Absolutely. You can automate it. If it can be automated, it should be automated.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different options here for you, right?
Yes.
You may not even need to hire someone, right? So now there's a bunch of different ways. Let us know what you have questions with, which one of those work best for you, and why you chose it, whatnot. If you need some advice in there, we got your back, all right?
Yes.
And if you're watching this podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button and rate us the way you feel we should be rated, okay? Let's keep it moving. Brian asks, not this Brian, another Brian asks and says, Can you tell how you hired your first couple of employees? How did you decide who to hire?
Okay. So that's a little weird for me because I was the first employee at Hosterian, right? When I bought Tidal, it came with employees. So,
So when did you start doing your first hiring then? Because you were probably...
Well, my first hiring, I was a manager at Emo's the first time I hired somebody, right? And I just hired friends in high school, right? It was like, Friday night, like, hey, what are you doing tonight? You want to wash dishes and make $3 an hour? Sure. And then follow me to work, and I'd teach them how to wash dishes.
Follow me to work.
Like, okay, you got the job, If they didn't quit at the end of the night, they got to come back tomorrow. So, I mean, that was my first experience hiring somebody was at Emo's Pizza in high school. And it was just, who you knew. So, I would say then years later, I've hired and fired throughout the years, but significantly when at Hosterian, we started hiring. So give me the question again.
All right, question again is, can you tell how you hired your first couple of employees and how did you decide who to hire?
Yeah, so this goes back years, and it was a way different process than now, right? Because I was way more particular, and I thought that I had some kind of magic human reading ability, and that I was
You
a
were
good
special.
judge of character, right? And I thought that I was better than, I thought I had a crystal ball, and I thought, oh man, I'm a good hire. I can really judge people really well. I was wrong. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've hired somebody I'm super excited about, man, this person's going to rock it. And then other people, I'm like, man, I just need somebody, and then put them in there, and they shine, right? So I've had it both ways. Like, I really think this person's going to crush it, and then be devastated. And I've had, man, I just need a seat filled, so yeah, we don't have a lot of applicants, go ahead and fill it. And then they surprise the hell out of me. So it's a guess, like, at the best case scenario.
It really is.
They're there, they're putting their best foot forward if they really want the job. So it's, unfortunately, it's a lot of hiring. I do like trade school job fairs. So that I can meet a whole bunch of people at once, right? And that I can get a really good grasp of them. So, and talking to the professors. So if you can get on advisory boards at a local community college,
there you go.
That's a great way to, and I've done that. I was an advisory board at an at a high school trade school, like a tech school here in St. Louis.
Nice.
And I was on the advisory board at Batterot as well, when they were still here. So that way, if you're on those advisory boards, one, you're a part of the community, you're with other local business owners and managers and hiring people, and you get to spend some time with students, and you get to know them better, so you kind of know who's graduating that year, and you get to talk to the professors and things like that. So that was a huge help for me in my early days of hiring for IT.
It can absolutely help you, like, cherry pick.
Yes. At Hosterian, we have a pretty strict rule from our board is that we don't outsource our hiring. We own that process in-house, which is like 90% of everything at Hosterian is we own the process, right?
Yeah.
We make our own bread so that we can control our product. Not that we make bread at all. White Castles makes their own bread, and the reason they do that is because they control their entire process. They don't want to outsource it because they don't want to get different product all the time, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They want to maintain the quality control, so they do it in house.
White Castles, go White Castles.
Yeah. So, it's a guessing game. It's volume game. Use your intuition, and there's a couple of tips and tricks that you could use to see, how somebody's going to adapt to change. And I don't like those kinds of games when it comes to human interaction.
I don't like them at all.
But I know that, like, one of my business coaches, he does this nonstop to potential employees, is they schedule the meeting, and then within the first couple of minutes of the meeting, every time he says, "Oh, I just had somebody walk in my office and it's really important. Can you call me back in 15 minutes from now?" He doesn't have an appointment, but he just wants to see, is that person frustrated with the change? Are they aggravated? And do they follow instructions when they said they're going to call back? Right? So you do learn a lot about a person. I just don't like manipulation. I don't like manipulating people, and I feel like that's a manipulation tactic to get something out of them that they wouldn't have given to you naturally. So I don't play that game, but I could definitely see the power in it. And if you're okay with doing that, I would recommend it because it will show you a lot about a person.
I'm glad you mentioned that if you're okay with it, because I think the one job that I did hiring basically every single month was when I ran a Waffle House.
Right. Something beeped.
Something just beeped.
We'll keep going.
Let me make sure my phone's always made me think about it now. But I hired all the time. Every single month I was hiring and firing somebody.
Yep.
And one of the things that I did that I felt good about was being transparent.
Yes.
Right? So, like, if you're going down this process, one thing that I think you absolutely have to do is be as transparent as possible. And I think that, you're still going to get some people that are going to be dishonest. That's just the nature of it. But what I do like about it, though, is that the energy you put out is the energy you get back. So a lot of times when I was talking to people, and I was just straight honest with them about what I'm looking for and how I'm going to take it if certain things happen.
Right.
So you know exactly what you're getting, right? I'm like, this is how I take care of my family. So if you're at the restaurant, if you're wasting food, basically you're stealing from my family right now.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
that is an automatic threat. That is like all guns on deck, right? I mean, all hands on deck. And I want you to be successful. So if you're not if you don't want to be a part of that kind of like hustle, go get it kind of place, this may not be the place for you.
Right.
Right? And that's kind of part of how I put out the values of what I wanted, because like that's also part of the hiring process. Is you got to not say what your values are, you got to show what your values are.
Correct.
Right? So like part of the hiring process to me is practicing that.
Right.
And that was really
inside
helpful for me.
and something that we do at Hosterian is that we have a structure that's designed to bring people up from the bottom up. So we very seldomly ever hire off the street a level 2 or a level 2 admin or a systems engineer, right? Systems engineer and level 2 admins almost exclusively come from a NOC position.
You gotta earn it.
Right, so they come in, they know the NOC, they know the company, they know our back offices, and then they move up from there.
That's really cool.
So and I'm not saying it never happens, but we try to go through that path, right? And even if we did hire a systems engineer off the street, we would put them in the NOC for at least a month, so that they knew what the front line looked like, right? Because our NOC is basically our emergency room, right? It's our triage. That's where all the initial calls come in. They can do a lot of stuff, right? They can stitch up a server, they can reboot it, they can do a lot of things. But if something needs to be transplanted or something like that, then it goes to an engineer. So
yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Brian. Being transparent, having some kind of way you can show your values to the potential employee, and then we're going to say it a lot, that it's a guess at the end of the day. So there's no like right or wrong way to really go about it. I mean, I guess the wrong way would be just to not even talk to people and hire them.
well, I mean, the other way is like, Sam's an intern, so an intern program is a great way.
There you go. To get to know people.
To get to know somebody before you make an offer, and do that.
We didn't mention that. That is a good one.
So it's another
tactic
to find quality people. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
The desire is that you find somebody, and when their internship's over, you have a position for them to fill. That doesn't always happen, unfortunately. But either way, if you do have an internship, then you got to create the value for them as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
In some way, so that and the great thing is for us, value to an intern is ability to learn and work on projects, and we have that in abundance.
And hopefully it's something they actually want to learn about. So then the projects can just keep.
I have to assume. I mean, I've never had an intern that wasn't somewhat engaged. I've had a couple, but
I'm like, have you?
Yeah, I've had a couple, but most of the time,
top of my head.
because internship is 100% voluntary, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to do an internship
Right.
to graduate from college. I don't think. Do you today? It depends on what program you're in.
I would say it depends.
Okay. So Sam's an intern right now, and he doesn't have to do this. Like, he's choosing to do this. I hope that we've taught him some stuff. I think we have. And he can now take that knowledge either here or somewhere else. And I've tried to hire him a couple times. He keeps telling me no. But we'll figure that out. So, hopefully we can come to something. I think we'll figure something out before next Thursday's his last day as an intern. So, we'll see what happens from there.
Right. So we're about halfway through. So this is a great time for our tech history. This week in tech history.
And this week sponsored by Hosterian, and we're sponsoring our new WordPress support package.
Absolutely.
So we have a flat rate WordPress support. We patch your website. We keep it all up to date. We're here 24 hours a day. So if you have a problem at 2 or 3 in the morning, you're trying to figure out with your WordPress site, you can call. You have somebody you can talk to.
Right. And someone that can also fix it.
Yes.
Right. So there's someone you can talk to and fix your problem. That's pretty valuable.
Yes.
Right. So we have May 3rd, 1978. Spam. On this date in 1978, the first spam email was sent.
Oh, wow.
The message promoted 2 upcoming product presentations of the DEX System -20, accessing the ARPANET.
ARPANET. ARPA?
Yeah.
Yep, it's ARPANET.
ARPANET. Spam accounts for up to 90%, spam accounts for up to 90% of all emails sent today.
So spam is 90% of all email today.
Yes.
And there's laws against it.
Yes.
Right? So, let's see, 1978, the first spam email was sent.
That's interesting. I mean, I think about majority of the emails that I get, I classify them as spam. And I guess what the government says what spam is and what a person says is spam are two wildly different.
Yeah, so basically, if Target sends you an email, that's not spam. Cole sends you an email, it's not spam. You signed up for some kind of list somewhere, right?
Right.
And chances are, and when you signed up for that list, you didn't read the terms and conditions, they can sell that to affiliates and whoever they want. So the majority of the spam that you get isn't really spam. It might be junk mail, like in your mailbox at your house, but
true.
Most of it you signed up for in some fashion, right?
Some way you said yes.
Yes. So it's debatable on 90% really spam today. Did you sign up for it or not? And that's where I say, is it spam or not? Or if there's, and I really look at spam also as if there's, very little intent behind it, right?
I would classify it as spam because there's ones I sign up for and I hit the unsubscribe and I still get it.
Well, yeah, but they might have sold your email already to a different affiliate, or it's hard to say.
It gets so dicey so fast.
Yeah, I think email's dead. We just don't know it yet. We haven't found a better solution. Stuff like Discord and Rocket Chat are coming out pretty regular.
Text is almost killing it, man.
Yeah, but I get a lot of spam in my text messaging too right now, right? And
that's true.
we use good spam filters here at Hosterian. I also have a third-party service called Sane Mail that helps me tremendously. My inbox is pretty clean, right?
That's awesome.
I think most people do a pretty bad job of managing their inbox.
Absolutely.
Right? I see these inboxes with, a good one has 1,000 messages, but I see people with 10, 20, 50,000 emails in their inbox.
Man, I have a couple hundred in mine that I still need to go through, and I'm like, Jesus, it takes so much time.
None. Awesome. No email in my inbox, ever. If there's an email in your inbox, it's a task. You got to do it, right? And then you move it to archive or completed when you're done. Or how do you know what you need to do still?
And I don't think most people even really, like you said, I think it is dead. I don't think people really just value their email. They give it out like it's nothing. They don't organize their email. I have folders in my email, right? So I have my business, my kids stuff, school, health, insurance, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people do that.
And I don't have those folders anymore. I used to have those folders like that, but since Windows 8 was released and NTFS, the file system behind Windows, was updated, now searching inside Windows is so fast.
Yes.
That I don't need folders anymore. I have an archive folder that I update every year. So I've got an archive 2001 or 2002, 2003, so on and so forth. And every year I just archive my messages in the archive folder. And the search function is so good that I don't need it. So I have a completed folder and an inbox and a completed. As I go through every day, I complete my tasks. I put them in the completed folder, and then when I'm done with at the end of the year, I archive that completed folder and create a new completed folder.
Let's see. I have so many things in my email that's not like a task to complete.
That's an alert.
It's like an alert.
Then it's completed. You've read it. You've completed the task at hand. The job is read the email and understand it. Okay, I've done that, and it's completed. Alerts complete really quickly.
So I guess what I'm really saying.
You just leave it in your inbox, then it's like leaving all your laundry on the floor instead of putting it in the hamper.
It's my son's school.
Yeah.
I get so many emails, and a lot of them are stuff I got to go back and reference to.
But you can search for everything for the school and have a nice list. We can do a whole topic on managing your inbox. Literally, I could talk an hour on how to manage your inbox. Right?
Maybe we need to have a conversation. Maybe just manage it better. It's user error is what it sounds like.
Well,
the
folders was absolutely needed in Windows when the file system was so slow that you couldn't search, right? Mm-hmm. You would search for 5-10 years ago, pre-Windows 8, right? When they made the change. It was a horrible change to the tablet mode, but they fixed it with Windows 10. Windows 8 had fast search functionality, right? They had really good indexing. prior to that, Windows 7, Windows Vista, all that shit was horrible indexing, and you would search for something in email, it would take forever, right? So people started getting in the habit of making all these folders and stuff. They still in that habit. You don't need to do that anymore. You can just search, right? And then like we use Zembra. You can tag, you can make notes on emails, right? It's really nice. And then you can always just search for, emails that I have notes on. I don't have that many notes on emails, right? But stuff that I have to do a lot. I will create subfolders for some things. Like we did the SBA loan, right? And I had a bunch of documents. I'll use it for process management that way. But only on big stuff, like we're doing a solar project right now, so I've got a solar project folder, right? So everything's going in there. But when everything's done, it's all going to completed and out of there. Yeah.
Okay, we definitely. I want to have a conversation. Not now, but.
So and then the ARPANET was the schools, right? All the, Washington University. I know that because and we've got a big poster downstairs of the ARPANET, right? The original one. WashU was part of the ARPANET, and they're here in St. Louis. That's where I worked. One of my first like corporate America jobs. I went to school there.
There you go.
So that was the colleges peering together.
Oh, okay.
Was the original ARPANET? Well, I'm not sure if the colleges might have been. Yeah, it would have been the government and the colleges working together, universities working together.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that at all.
Yeah. So when we're done today, let's go downstairs and I'll show you the original, the first ARPANET map. We have a
Nice.
giant frame picture downstairs of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go see that.
Yeah.
All
And we should
right.
probably take a picture of it and show it up here somewhere.
Yes, so put that. Make sure one of you guys put that in the notes. All right, so moving along here. Robin asked, what do you think some of the best ways to look for employees are? I've heard mixed reviews about every type of recruiting website and the process.
Right. So this is, and I had to really go back to sales process when you're talking about hiring for employment.
Very similar process.
Very similar process. So again, you have a bunch of top of line funnel activity. That's prospecting. So if you were to say, hey, I want to start a company and I'm going to start selling products to end users, you wouldn't say, oh, this is the only way that I get prospects. I go door-to-door sales, right?
Yeah.
You know, you do door-to-door sales, you do email campaigns.
One strategy, another strategy,
You have a whole bunch of top of the funnel strategies to get candidates for your job.
Right.
And those are, Indeed is the popular one. ZipRecruiter is reasonable.
LinkedIn now is a pretty popular
LinkedIn's
spot.
a great one, right? Having on your website, right? We had talked to a lady the other day. She's like, yeah, I can't find anybody to work for me. But our website was horrible, right? And there wasn't even a job section on our website.
Yes.
Right. So,
Well,
having
you didn't have
a
a website.
work for us section on your website, is a great tool for that. At the boxing gym and here really not as much at the boxing gym, we're always hiring. I 100% of the time always have an ad out looking for people. Because it's a lot of there's 20 something part-time people there and they
Right.
rotate quite a bit. So, we interview people when we're not looking for a job. Another thing that you probably want to do is get your Glassdoor account all the way up to date. So
There you go.
if people are researching you, they're going to look at your website. They're going to look.
That's part of my answer.
They're going to look at your Glassdoor account. They're going to look at your Facebook. They're going to look at all those things to say,
That's awesome.
what kind of company is this?
Exactly.
Right? And if you don't display well, then why would they want to work for you?
Right.
Right?
Right. That was basically part of what my answer is going to be. Is that like for starters, clean your stuff up.
Yeah.
Right. Make sure your website is up to date with accurate information. Make sure that all of your Facebook, all your social media accounts are optimized. So if there's a section there for it, fill it in.
Right.
Because just like you said, people are going to do research. So it's hard for them to find you online. It's hard for them to find information about you online. Then when they do find it, it's inaccurate or it's outdated. I mean, all you got to do is just turn that person off.
Right.
And that could be a reason why they say, you know what, I'm not going to show up to this interview.
And your employees are your number one asset.
Absolutely.
For any company. So if you take a moment, at least exercise the thought of a mindset change. If you are a customer first company today, and you can shift your mindset to a staffing or HR company first, and then your staff takes care of your customers, that's a better approach, I
like
think,
that.
long term. So right now, we're customer first, and they just drive their employees into the ground. So if you change that dynamic and say, hey, I'm an employee first company or a staff first company, and knowing that if I take care of my staff and my employees, that they'll take care of the customers and they'll want to stay and they'll want to keep that. I work really hard and I fail a lot at making sure that Hosterian is a fun, upbeat place to work, right? But you know, we have challenges just like every other business, and sometimes I fail, and sometimes it's a stressful place to work.
Jordan didn't make every shot,
right? So, but we really, I mean, we make a significant effort at making sure that there's no drama, that there, you know, there's some beers on Fridays, that we at least once a week we have a, you know, a group meal. You know, that there's
Hosterian social is great.
Right, we have a whole social area that we can sit and talk. You know, so creating those kinds of things where people want to work at your business is fantastic, right? And out of all this stuff, we're hiring a new person, and we went through every one of our resources to find somebody. And the person that we're making an offer to today reached out to us and said, "Hey, I've seen you on Facebook. I'd really like to work for your company." Right?
There you go.
So all the tactics that we use for all these different interviews, the one that we're making an offer to actually reached out to us.
I mean, that is my point.
Right.
Take care of your own stuff first, right? And not just in-house as far as like the impersonal stuff, like actually taking care of your people,
right?
Listening to your team when they have an issue and helping them get through it.
Yes.
But also doing it online too, because if they match, you can feel that.
Yeah. If you're in business today, you have to realize that you're in an HR business first.
Absolutely.
Right. And you have, because if you don't have staff, then you can't grow your business.
Period.
Right. You can't maintain your client base.
Period.
I mean, there's solo entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and stuff like that that can have one-man shops and things like that. But
most of them, they don't really want that though. They would love to have someone else do that, and they be the actual owner and not the owner operator.
Right.
They would love to get rid of one of those titles.
Yes.
You and I both know it, man.
I like O&O. I like to own it. I like to own and operate. It's fun.
You like to play.
But with that being said, I always have good managers.
There you go.
Right. That I can walk away. And at Hosterian, I have multiple good managers, right? I don't have one. Boxing Gym, I've got 2 good managers. So, yeah, it's, to me, without the staff, I couldn't.
So, like, I guess you could say you're operator, but you're more like just an employee. I mean, like, you just do that little employee part, and then you're out.
Yeah, so there's the concept of when I work in the business, I work in the business. And then when I work on the business, I work on it. And I try to make those two very separate, right? So, if I'm a knock technician that for the night because nobody showed up, right? Then I'm an employee. When I'm the president of the company, I'm in my office. I'm thinking about how am I working on the company. So how am I making a new commission structure that incentivizes and penalizes? How am I going to create a new hiring process? How am I going to create a new training process for our SOPs? How are we going to document those things? That's working on the business. Right, and then working in the business is different. At the boxing gym, when I'm there working, I'm training classes. Nobody would know that walked in that I own the place.
Right.
Nobody would ever know, right? Because I'm just at that point I'm an employee just like everybody else.
Right.
But whenever we're, hiring a new vendor or negotiating a lease or those kinds of things, then I'm working on the company.
I mean, I think that's a huge thing, man. To be able to acknowledge that you have to have a different mindset. I think it's even bigger to actually do it. I mean, a lot of people acknowledge stuff, but if you can't follow through with it.
Right, Matt, at the boxing gym next door is a grocery store, and he's an O&O guy too, and he works in his business, 100%.
That's it,
right?
Yeah. So.
And I don't think he ever wants to change. He likes running his grocery store.
Oh, okay. It's one of those guys.
Yeah.
I do know a few guys actually. Now that I think about it, that they are owner operators, but. I don't want to say that I don't know if they either love it or they just don't trust anyone enough to let someone else run.
They love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's the only thing that they know.
I would believe with that.
Right.
I buy that.
Yeah.
I buy that. All right. So, who was this? Robin. So, hopefully that answers your question. Take care of your stuff first, right? Make sure your employees are where they need to be. Make sure your online presence is where it needs to be. Because if people are looking for jobs, they're going to want to look. They're going to want to find some information about you.
Yeah. And get out of nepotism as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
When you're first starting a business, nepotism is almost inevitable, right? I'm in business with my wife quite a bit. It's good and bad, right? But the faster that you can figure out how to use nepotism when you have to, but the faster you can figure out how to hire people and train them off the street, the better.
Absolutely.
You'll progress much faster.
Yeah. I mean, and I just made me think about another tactic, that asking your employees is another resource to look for people to hire. They may know
Yes.
someone, right? And if they put their name out there, they have a little skin in the game now.
Yep.
Right? So not only do they want to perform well, they want to make sure that the companies look really, really good in front of them. They want to make sure that they're not going to hire or ask their cousin that doesn't show up or shows up drunk or something. Or spit. They have a little more invested into that.
Yeah.
So that's another good avenue you can check out. So, Robin, let us know how that works out for you, okay? So, moving along, we may have enough for 2 more questions. We'll see if we can get it
We
done.
have about 10 minutes left.
Right, 10 minutes left. Kelly asks, I started a tech company a while back, and I'm currently looking to hire my first employee. Are there any legal things I need to know before I'm hiring my first employee?
A ton. A ton. Of legal
Yes,
things
there's a
you
lot
need to
of legal things.
So, I mean, hiring employees is a liability for sure. They're a huge asset, but they're also a liability, right?
Yes.
You need to protect yourself, so you need to make sure you have workers' comp insurance. You might want to talk to your insurance broker about having D&O, directors and officers, and another one called errors and omissions, right? So those are good insurance policies you have. You have to know your local laws, right? So salaried employees versus non-salaried employees, you need to make sure that you're paying them properly. If they work overtime, you got to pay them time and a half. Like that's the law. Salaried employees, you don't have to, but be very careful about your local laws. Can they legitimately be a salaried employee, right? Salary does not mean you're exempt from time and a half for overtime, right? It does not mean that at all. So there are some people that can be exempt from overtime, but really know the law. And I think the best thing that I've done in HR is hire a company called Bambi, right? And they don't manage it, but they gave us a really nice onboarding process. So whenever a new employee comes on, we just sign them up on Bambi, and then Bambi goes through the whole process of getting them the paperwork that they need to fill out, storing all that paperwork, having it all nice and organized, and I have a professional HR team that I can call
If something comes up.
and take care of it. It's one of those services that we were talking about at the beginning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We pay, I don't know what we pay, it's pretty reasonable. I mean, to have a full HR staff for the amount of employees that we have,
That's pretty awesome.
it would cost a minimum of $150,000 a year, right? For a couple of HR staff people,
You
the
definitely
legal
don't pay
staff, all that stuff.
anybody.
No, Bambi's like $1,500 a year or something, right? It's super affordable for under 25 employees, and it gives you a lot of governance over your hiring, firing, review process, all of those things, right? So I think Bambi was the #1 HR resource that we've added, and we added it last year.
That's awesome.
Right, and then you can tell your insurance company. So when you're applying for that errors and omissions insurance in your doctor's
HR.
office, you can say, "I've outsourced my HR to Bambi, who's a professional HR company, and we're going using their guidelines, and that will make your insurance cheaper too." Right.
Nice.
But if you do something like think somebody should be salaried, and they really should be paying time and a half, and if you don't pay time and a half, it's like significantly illegal.
Yes.
Right, you can personally be in trouble for it, and you owe that employee. And then on top of that, they get punitive damages more than just direct losses if they win the suit. So if you get sued for that, you're going to lose probably, and they're going to win more than you actually owed them, probably. So if you have the insurance, they cover that. And I know this because it happened to us. Right, we were paying our NOC staff salary. They work 36 hours one week and 48 hours the next. But really 44 with their lunch breaks. But since we had them all paying salary, we didn't pay them overtime. We took the average of it and said, okay, this is your salary, right? And then they got that, but they were actually working 4 hours of overtime every other week. And
that's the issue.
Yeah, and a kid came back years later and sued us for it. The insurance company paid it out. And it was significant, right? And
Absolutely.
But then since then, we've changed the entire process, and now all of our NOC techs, it's bad for them. They're all hourly now. right? They're not salaried anymore. So it's actually...
They lost some of the flexibility, the good things of having.
They lost all the good things of being salaried.
Yeah.
Right? Now they're, they don't get paid for... If they don't show up, they don't get paid. Like,
that's what it is now.
it is what it is, right? So...
That's going to be my first advice to her, is that you need to figure out what type of employee that you want to hire first. Because, I mean, you do have your salary, you do have your hourly, but you also have 1099 contract.
Yep.
Right? Which has a whole nother set of rules, a whole nother set of financial responsibilities that you have to now adhere to.
Right.
So, or is this something that, like we said before, that you could outsource to a vendor?
Yep.
Right? So there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but there's a lot of legal things that you have to really take in consideration, and it's all relative to the state you're living into, because each state has different rules.
But on those, talk to whoever's doing your payroll for you. If you're using ADT or one of the big guys, or you have just a local accountant doing your payroll, they can walk you through a lot of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. So I don't think we have time for this next question.
How much time we got? 5 minutes. We got.
Did we do it?
5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes? All right, we're going to go for it. Perry says, I saw this on Twitter, and I wanted to know your thoughts. What's the difference between hiring entrepreneurs and hiring employees?
You would never hire an entrepreneur. You only hire... Entrepreneurs aren't looking for a job. They're creating jobs. Entrepreneurs do not interview for jobs.
There you go.
So you would have you don't have an opportunity to hire an entrepreneur, because he's already created his own work. He's created his own world that he's going to live in and play in.
And I'd say if you did end up hiring an entrepreneur, he or she would not be with you for very long.
Correct.
Because they're probably, okay, I need to just get some money real quick, and I'm going right back out.
Yep.
So it's not going to be someone that's going to be with you for a very long time.
Yeah, I wouldn't hire an entrepreneur. It depends on what you're looking for, but if you're looking for somebody that's going to be that partner and help you grow,
you absolutely want an entrepreneur.
Then you want an entrepreneur. But I think entrepreneurs in nature don't want to be partners.
I think that's probably accurate.
Right.
I think like the default is no, I don't want a partner. But I think there are some that saying, okay, I'd be willing if.
Well, yeah, I mean, at Hosterian we got like almost 30 partners, right, on the shareholders. So it's a little different, right? And this has been over 20 years that we've created this situation that we're in. Mm-hmm. And it's okay, right? But right now, I'm a shareholder. We've got maybe 4 shareholders that work here, right? The other shareholders aren't here. They're out doing their own things, right? So it is what it is.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of it. So I guess to really answer your question then, Perry, it would come down to is what position are you hiring for? Because the position you're hiring for, you may not want an entrepreneur. You may want an actual employee. But if you're looking for a partner, you're looking for someone to help you grow your business, you may need someone that has that entrepreneur mindset. Right. And if you can give them some kind of...
You hire an employee and you finance an entrepreneur.
That's a really interesting way to put that.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I guess that makes sense. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah. You invest in the entrepreneur. It's investment. They're a part of your company.
Well, or you're just financing his job, what he wants to do, right? So if you're hiring an entrepreneur for your job to do a job, right? You need somebody that does that job. But what you're doing is you're paying him to do that job, and you're financing him to do whatever job he wants to do on his own.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
So he's not going to be vested in your company, right? He wants to create his own thing, right? I think most entrepreneurs probably got the checkbox in preschool that said, "Don't play well as others in the sandbox." I think probably most of them got that, right? Or has a problem with authority, right? One of those two.
That one probably definitely.
So I don't think you're going to hire too many entrepreneurs out in the world. Maybe, I don't know.
Did you get those boxes checked in?
I had weird boxes.
I had weird boxes.
I was in special needs classes in elementary school, so
I don't see it. I mean, you're an interesting guy for sure.
Yeah, I have severe dyslexia, and I couldn't read. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, and I have really bad eyesight, so I couldn't see. My parents, we didn't have any money to send me to I did the eye classes there at school, right? Like they did the eye checks there, and the teacher would always say he needs glasses. And I'm like, great, we can't afford them. Okay, so I'm half blind. I see almost everything backwards. So they put me in learning disability classes, right? So I didn't have regular report cards until like 5th grade. I was in those classes.
Oh man, that's crazy.
And they're like, "What the hell is this kid doing in these classes for?" Like,
You're like, they told me to be here. I did.
Yeah, I'm like, "Hey man, I'm just doing what you tell me to do." So,
Awesome. So those are our questions here for today. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel or whichever one of the platforms you're listening to, and rate us. And rate us honestly how you really feel if this was valuable for you or your friends or whoever you're sharing this information with.
yeah.
Okay?
And if we created any value for it today, hit that subscribe button so you can watch us every week. We're going to wrap up the show now. If you want to join my text community, 314-370-2871.
All right, and my text line is 314-216-2040.
All right, get to work.